Kang Do-hyuk sat in the cold hospital corridor. Fluorescent lights reflected harshly off white tiles, and the smell of disinfectant stung his nostrils. As a former detective, he had memory gaps from an accident. But he'd always been certain about his family. Until now. Today's test was supposed to be routine checking if he could be a liver donor. His 12-year-old daughter Min Chai had a congenital liver disease and needed immediate surgery. He couldn't watch her grow weaker each day. "Daddy will definitely cure you," he'd promised, holding her small hand. He was ready to do anything to keep that promise. His wife Seo Rin sat beside him, nervously biting her nails. She seemed unusually anxious, but he attributed it to their daughter's condition. "Mr. Kang Do-hyuk, please come in." At the nurse's call, Do-hyuk stood. Seo Rin followed, but her steps seemed heavier than usual. The examination room felt even colder. The doctor stared at his computer monitor, checking something. Do-hyuk's heart began racing with an inexplicable sense of unease. "Please sit." The doctor's voice was heavier than usual. They took their seats. Seo Rin's hands trembled slightly. The doctor looked up from his chart, something troubled flickering in his eyes. "Mr. Kang Do-hyuk, your test results are in." Do-hyuk held his breath, expecting a simple compatibility report. "The genetic compatibility is..." The doctor paused. 0%. "Excuse me?" Do-hyuk thought he'd misheard. 0% genetic compatibility means you're not a direct blood relative. His ears rang. The words swirled in his head without making sense. 0%? Not a direct relative? Do-hyuk shot up, staring at Seo Rin. Her face had turned pale. She looked down, biting her lip. "What does this mean?" His voice shook. "She's not my daughter?" The doctor's weary expression suggested he'd encountered this situation before. "There could be testing errors. I recommend retesting." "Errors?" Do-hyuk's voice rose. "In such an important test?" Seo Rin remained silent, her head down. Her silence made him more anxious. "Seo Rin." He called to his wife, but she didn't respond. "Please calm down." The doctor began, but Do-hyuk was already leaving. In the corridor, his detective training kicked in. 0% couldn't be explained by simple error. There should be some genetic connection between parent and child. Seo Rin followed him out, still pale. "Honey, let's go back and discuss this. Something must be wrong." Her voice trembled. Do-hyuk looked at his wife. 13 years of marriage flashed before him. Min Chai's birth. Her first steps, the devastating diagnosis. Now everything might have been a lie. "Seo Rin," his voice turned cold. "Is this really a testing error?" Her eyes wavered. She started to speak, then closed her mouth. "Tell me." He approached her. "You're hiding something, aren't you?" "What are you talking about?" "I don't understand this situation either." She shook her head, but her voice lacked conviction. With his detective experience, Do-hyuk could detect lies. Seo Rin's reaction wasn't pure surprise. She was concealing something. "Let's retest at another hospital," he suggested. "Yes, that's good." She agreed too quickly. His phone rang, a call from the pediatric ward. "This is Kang Do-hyuk." "Sir, Min Chai's condition has rapidly deteriorated. Can you come immediately?" His face paled. The shock of the test results and his daughter's crisis hit simultaneously. "We're coming now." He hung up and looked at Seo Rin. Fear flashed across her face. "Min Chai? She's gotten worse. Let's go." They rushed to the elevator. But questions still swirled in Do-hyuk's mind. The 0%, Seo Rin's strange reaction, and now Min Chai's critical condition. In the elevator, Seo Rin continued biting her nails, her anxiety seeming excessive. "Seo Rin," Do-hyuk said. "Do you remember when Min Chai was born?" Her body stiffened. "Why bring that up now? I lost my memory in that accident. I have no recollection of the months around Min Chai's birth." The elevator reached the pediatric floor, but Do Hyuk didn't move. Could something have happened during that period? Seo Rin grew paler. Honey, Min Chai is what's important now. Let's talk later. The doors opened. They hurried to Min Chai's room. Inside, Min Chai lay unconscious while medical staff worked frantically. Doctor, what's wrong with my daughter? Her liver function is rapidly declining. We need to perform the transplant as soon as possible. Do Hyuk's heart sank. He needed to save his daughter, but he couldn't be a donor. And the bigger question was why. We'll search for other donors, but time is limited. The doctor's words sounded hopeless. Do Hyuk took Min Chai's small, cold hand. If he wasn't her father, whose child was she? And where was her real father? Seo Rin wept silently in the corner. Whether her tears were from worry or guilt, he couldn't tell. Honey, Do Hyuk called to Seo Rin. You know who Min Chai's real father is, don't you? Her shoulders shook. She looked up at him, her eyes full of guilt and fear. Now isn't the time to discuss. Now is exactly the time. His voice echoed through the room. Our daughter is dying, and her real father could be a donor. The medical staff's attention turned to them. A nurse quietly asked them to keep it down. Do Hyuk clenched his fists. Even as a detective, he'd never felt such frustration. The truth was right there but unreachable. Seo Rin spoke, her voice trembling. Honey, I'll tell you everything. His heart raced. Finally, he might hear the truth. But first, Min Chai. Suddenly, Min Chai's heart monitor alarm sounded. Medical staff moved urgently again. Family members, please step outside. They were pushed out into the corridor, forced to listen to the sounds of emergency treatment. Tell me, Do Hyuk faced Seo Rin. Tell me now. Seo Rin slumped against the wall. The weight of 13 years of secrets showed on her face. Before your accident, she began. We were already having problems. Do Hyuk's body went rigid. The truth of his forgotten past was about to be revealed. A storm-like silence followed after they returned home. The air grew heavy the moment the front door closed. The living room, which would normally feel warm, now seemed like an interrogation room. Do Hyuk couldn't even sit on the sofa and began pacing around the living room. Everything in the space they had shared for 13 years felt foreign. The walls hung with Min Chai's drawings, family photos, the child's toys. Had it all been a lie? Seo Rin sat huddled at the edge of the sofa. Her lips, which had remained silent since the hospital, were pale blue. Seo Rin, Do Hyuk stopped walking and looked at his wife. Don't you think it's time to talk? Seo Rin couldn't lift her head. Her shoulders trembled slightly. I know what 0% means. I'm not stupid. Anger began creeping into Do Hyuk's voice. I've seen DNA tests countless times in my detective work. This kind of result can't be a mistake. Still, Seo Rin remained silent. Tell me honestly, Do Hyuk crouched in front of her, pressing. What is this about? Tears began flowing from Seo Rin's eyes. Like a burst dam, emotions she had suppressed came pouring out all at once. Honey, I'm sorry. Her voice trembled. Sorry? What are you sorry for? Do Hyuk's voice sharpened. Seo Rin finally burst into tears. The guilt she had hidden for 13 years collapsed in an instant. When you were unconscious from the accident, Seo Rin began speaking. Her voice was barely audible. Actually, our first child was already gone. Do Hyuk's face went pale. First child? What do you mean? A month before your accident. We lost the baby we were expecting. It was a miscarriage. Do Hyuk tried to remember that moment. But his memories before and after the accident were still blank. Why didn't you tell me? You lost your memory from the accident. And when you woke up, Min Chai was there. So you just thought she was our child, Seo Rin confessed. After losing that baby, I couldn't bear it. I wanted to die every day. So, I brought Min Chai. Brought her? Do Hyuk's voice rose. You mean adoption? Seo Rin shook her head. No, it's. Seeing Seo Rin unable to continue, Do Hyuk's anxiety grew. What is it? Tell me straight. Seo Rin's lips trembled. The words she uttered after a moment froze Do Hyuk's mind. Min Chai is Oh Ji-hoon's child. Do Hyuk felt his entire body freeze upon hearing that name. Oh Ji-hoon. He knew that detective, his former junior, still worked at the police station. The man who had visited him several times after the accident. What did you say? Do Hyuk's voice shook. When you were unconscious, I was so lonely, with the grief of losing that child, and not knowing if you would wake up. Seo Rin said through tears. Do Hyuk's fists trembled. As a former detective, he had faced countless cases. But this betrayal happening within his own home was the most cruel. A child born from an affair. Do Hyuk's voice trembled with rage. You deceived me into thinking she was my daughter? Back then, you were hurt, and I had already lost everything, Seo Rin sobbed. Min Chai was my only reason to breathe. Do Hyuk punched the wall. The sound of picture frames falling and breaking echoed through the living room. Reason to breathe? Do Hyuk glared at Seo Rin. When I was dying, you slept with another man? And deceived me that the result was my daughter? Honey, please. Please what? Do Hyuk's voice filled the entire house. For 13 years I believed that child was my daughter. I nursed her through fevers at night, and when she was sick, I hurt more than she did. Seo Rin collapsed from the sofa to the floor. Her entire body was shaking. But now you tell me she's another man's seed? Do Hyuk looked down at Seo Rin. Oh Ji-hoon's seed? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Seo Rin knelt on the floor and begged. Will being sorry fix this? Do Hyuk shouted. You deceived my entire life. Then another question occurred to Do Hyuk. Wait. Do Hyuk looked at Seo Rin. Does Ji-hoon know that Min Chai is his daughter? Seo Rin's face grew even paler. Answer me. Do Hyuk shouted. He wouldn't know, Seo Rin replied after hesitation. He doesn't know? Do Hyuk laughed mockingly. He doesn't know about a child born from his seed? Ji-hoon was married, and that happened only once. Do Hyuk became even more enraged. With a married man? Just once? It was when I heard you might never wake up from the coma. Seo Rin made excuses. I was so desperate. So you slept with my junior? Do Hyuk's voice was cold. Seo Rin had no more excuses. She just lay on the floor crying. Do Hyuk began pacing the living room again. 13 years of memories flashed by like a revolving lantern. Min Chai's first steps, first words, kindergarten, entrance ceremony, elementary school sports day. In every moment, he had been a proud father. But it had all been a lie. Then Ji-hoon could be the donor, Do Hyuk said coldly. Seo Rin looked up. What? To save Min Chai, her biological father needs to donate his liver. Do Hyuk's voice was emotionless. Since I can't do it, Oh Ji-hoon should. But Seo Rin panicked. Ji-hoon doesn't know. Then we need to tell him. Do Hyuk took out his phone. Right now. Honey, wait. Seo Rin jumped up. If that happens, Ji-hoon's family could be destroyed. Do Hyuk looked at Seo Rin with disbelief. What are you saying? Our daughter is dying, and you're worried about that man's family? We raised Min Chai. To Ji-hoon, she's just a stranger. A stranger? Do Hyuk laughed, but it was chilling. To her biological father? Just then, the front door opened. Do Hyuk and Seo Rin looked toward it simultaneously. Hello. Oh Ji-hoon entered, carrying a fruit basket. How is Min Chai? The living room air froze instantly. Do Hyuk looked at Oh Ji-hoon. Feeling the weight of the truth he had been unaware of for 13 years. The real father of the child he believed was his daughter stood right before him. Ji-hoon, Do-hyuk's voice was lower than usual. Yes, Hong. Sit down. We need to talk. Oh, Ji-hoon sensed something was wrong. Seo-rin was covering her face and crying, and Do-hyuk's expression was cold. What's going on? Do-hyuk looked at Oh Ji-hoon and slowly opened his mouth. About Min Chai, Do-hyuk said. She's your daughter. Oh Ji-hoon's face instantly went pale. The fruit basket fell from his hands and rolled across the floor. What did you say? The DNA test results came out, Do-hyuk said coldly. It's confirmed she's not my daughter. Oh Ji-hoon looked at Seo-rin, who still couldn't lift her head. Do you remember 13 years ago? Do-hyuk asked. When I was unconscious from the accident. Oh Ji-hoon's body stiffened. The memory of that moment seemed to return. Hong, what was that? Do-hyuk stood up. You slept with my wife? Oh Ji-hoon couldn't speak. And Min Chai was born as a result. Do-hyuk's voice grew louder. Hong, I didn't know, Oh Ji-hoon hurried to explain. I really didn't know Min Chai was my daughter. You didn't know? Do-hyuk scoffed. Well, now you do. Oh Ji-hoon collapsed to the floor. The fact that he had unknowingly seen his biological daughter for 13 years destroyed him. But there's a problem, Do-hyuk continued. Min Chai needs a liver transplant. And her biological father needs to be the donor. Oh Ji-hoon's face grew even paler. So you need to do it, Do-hyuk's voice was cold. Oh Ji-hoon stammered. What, will you refuse? Do-hyuk asked. She's your biological daughter. Oh Ji-hoon was torn. He also had a family, a wife and 2 sons. Hong, if I have the surgery. Oh Ji-hoon said carefully, my family will find out. So? Do-hyuk replied coldly. My wife. My children. This isn't the time to worry about your family. Anger mixed into Do-hyuk's voice. Min Chai is dying. Oh Ji-hoon couldn't say anything. I raised your daughter for 13 years, Do-hyuk said. Isn't it time you took responsibility? Just then, Do-hyuk's phone rang. A call from the hospital. Yes? Min Chai's father, please come quickly. Her condition has worsened. Do-hyuk's face went pale. We're coming now. After hanging up, Do-hyuk looked at Oh Ji-hoon. Let's go to the hospital. To see your daughter. Oh Ji-hoon stood up with trembling hands. Hong, I really didn't know. Whether you knew or not doesn't matter, Do-hyuk said, heading toward the entrance. Now that you know, you need to take responsibility. The 3 headed to the hospital in heavy silence. In the car, Oh Ji-hoon kept trembling, and Seo-rin only stared out the window. Even while gripping the steering wheel, Do-hyuk's mind was complicated. The desperation to save Min Chai, mixed with feelings of betrayal and anxiety about what would happen next. Even after arriving at the hospital, the relationship between the 3 remained awkward. But upon hearing Min Chai's condition in front of the ICU, such emotions were momentarily pushed aside. The surgery must be done by tomorrow, the doctor said. Any later would be dangerous. Do-hyuk looked at Oh Ji-hoon. Decide, Do-hyuk said. She's your daughter. Days passed but the situation didn't improve. Min Chai's condition continued deteriorating, and Oh Ji-hoon had been unreachable since that day. Do-hyuk was going crazy. With frustration, traveling between the hospital and home. Did you contact Ji-hoon? Do-hyuk asked Seo-rin. He won't answer. Seo-rin's voice was exhausted. He's probably talking with his family. Talking? Do-hyuk scoffed. About his affair 13 years ago? Seo-rin didn't respond. She couldn't predict what choice Oh Ji-hoon would make. That afternoon, a familiar man appeared in front of Min Chai's room. In a black suit with a smooth face, it was Oh Ji-hoon. But his panicked appearance from days before was gone, replaced by composure. Hong, Oh Ji-hoon greeted Do-hyuk. You came, Do-hyuk's voice was cold. Have you decided? Oh Ji-hoon smiled, but there was something different in that smile. Hong, can we talk for a moment? The two men left the room and walked to the end of the corridor. Seo Rin watched them anxiously. Now you know Min Chai is my daughter. Oh Ji-hoon's voice was low but chilling. His panicked demeanor from days before had completely vanished. So? Do Hyuk replied curtly. What can Hong do? Oh Ji-hoon asked. In this situation, what are you talking about? Oh Ji-hoon took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. It was a no-smoking area in the hospital, but he didn't seem to care. What face do you have to show up now? Do Hyuk gritted his teeth. Face? Oh Ji-hoon laughed. Hong, do you understand the situation properly? What are you saying? Since you can't give your liver, I'm the only option, right? Oh Ji-hoon's voice was confident. I can do what you can't. Do Hyuk was bewildered by Oh Ji-hoon's changed attitude. Hospital, transplant waiting list, funding. Oh Ji-hoon continued. I can handle it all. What can Hong do? Ji-hoon, what are you trying to do? It's not what I'm trying to do, but what I want you to do, oh. Ji-hoon's eyes grew cold. Do Hyuk felt an ominous premonition. I have conditions, Oh Ji-hoon said. Conditions? First, from now on I'll act as Min Chai's biological father. Openly, Oh Ji-hoon's voice was firm. No more hiding and playing the helpful uncle role. Do Hyuk's face contorted. Second, Oh Ji-hoon continued, I'm starting over with Seo Rin. What? You heard me. Oh Ji-hoon threw away his cigarette. Seo Rin was originally my woman. If Hong hadn't had that accident, we would have been together. Don't talk crazy. Crazy? Oh Ji-hoon sneered. Hong, face reality. I'm the only one who can save Min Chai now. Why should I do it for free? Do Hyuk clenched his fists. Will Hong hit me? Oh Ji-hoon provoked. Then what happens to Min Chai? The conditions were simple but cruel. Standing proudly before Min Chai as her biological father. And restoring his relationship with Seo Rin. Don't you understand yet? Oh Ji-hoon said. You think I became a corporate executive by chance? I climbed up with my abilities. Now Min Chai needs that kind of father too. You really? What can Hong do? A former detective with memory problems from accident after effects? Oh Ji-hoon's words were harsh. What Min Chai really needs isn't love but money. The best medical team, best treatment, best environment. Do Hyuk had no words to counter. Realistically, Oh Ji-hoon was right. Same with Seo Rin, Oh Ji-hoon said more cruelly. 13 years ago and now, what she really needs is stability. Can Hong provide that? Ji-hoon, don't cross the line. Line? Oh Ji-hoon laughed. Hong talks about lines? While raising my daughter for 13 years? Then Seo Rin approached, sensing something was wrong with their conversation. What are you talking about? Seo Rin asked carefully. Nothing much. Oh Ji-hoon smiled at Seo Rin. Seo Rin, can we talk? Now? Yes. It's important. Do Hyuk was anxious but had no way to stop it. He needed Oh Ji-hoon's cooperation to save Min Chai. Oh Ji-hoon and Seo Rin went down to the hospital cafe. Do Hyuk entered Min Chai's room and sat holding his daughter's hand. Min Chai, what should daddy do? Do Hyuk murmured. What should I really do? Meanwhile, in the cafe, Oh Ji-hoon and Seo Rin sat facing each other. It's been 13 years, Oh Ji-hoon said. Ji-hoon. Seo Rin's voice trembled. Why so nervous? We know each other. That was long ago. Long ago? Oh Ji-hoon laughed. The result of that is upstairs right now. Seo Rin lowered her head. Seo Rin, honestly, are you happy with Do Hyuk? Oh Ji-hoon leaned forward. Seo Rin didn't answer. Living with lies for 13 years was hard, right? Oh, Ji-hoon's voice was gentle. Suffering from guilt every day. You can stop now. Oh Ji-hoon took Seo Rin's hand. Let's live honestly. Seo Rin tried to pull her hand away, but Oh Ji-hoon didn't let go. To save Min Chai, you need my help, Oh Ji-hoon said. Why should I do it for free? What do you mean? Let's start over. Oh Ji-hoon's voice was serious. Us. Seo Rin's face went pale. We ended 13 years ago because of Do Hyuk, Oh Ji-hoon continued. The accident, coma, your guilt. Ji-hoon, you were married then. Yes, I was, Oh Ji-hoon admitted. But I'm divorced now. Seo Rin looked surprised. I settled everything a few days ago, Oh Ji-hoon said. After learning Min Chai was my daughter. What about the children? My ex-wife will raise them. I gave generous alimony and child support. Oh Ji-hoon's voice was calm. Seo Rin looked incredulous. Now I'm free, Oh Ji-hoon smiled. And ready to take responsibility as Min Chai's biological father. But, Oh Ji-hoon looked at Seo Rin. What's the problem? What about Do Hyuk? That's for you to decide. Oh Ji-hoon's voice grew cold. Will you keep living with lies or accept the truth? Seo Rin was conflicted. There's no time, Oh Ji-hoon gave his ultimatum. You know how serious Min Chai's condition is. Decide by today. If I refuse? Oh Ji-hoon was silent briefly before answering. Then I won't do anything. His voice was cold. Why should I give my liver for another man's daughter? But Min Chai is your daughter. Yes, my daughter, Oh Ji-hoon laughed. But another man raised her for 13 years. I never got to be a father. Seo Rin looked desperate. Let's become a proper family now, Oh Ji-hoon said. Min Chai, you, and me. The three of us. What about Do Hyuk? Do Hyuk. Oh Ji-hoon thought briefly. He'll have to accept reality. Tears flowed down Seo Rin's face. Don't cry, Oh Ji-hoon wiped Seo Rin's cheek. This is best for everyone. For everyone? Min Chai gets the best father. You don't have to live with lies anymore, and Do Hyuk learns the truth. Oh Ji-hoon's logic was cruel but realistic. Think about it, Oh Ji-hoon said finally. I'm the only one who can save Min Chai. And my condition is simple. We become a real family. Then Do Hyuk was seen hurrying down from upstairs, his face pale. Seo Rin. Do Hyuk shouted. Min Chai woke up. She regained consciousness. Seo Rin and Oh Ji-hoon quickly stood up. But her condition is still serious, Do Hyuk continued. They can't delay surgery any longer. The three went back upstairs. Min Chai barely had her eyes open, but her face was yellow. Daddy. Min Chai called Do Hyuk weakly. Do Hyuk held Min Chai's hand. Yes, Daddy's here. Then Min Chai saw Oh Ji-hoon. Uncle Ji-hoon came too. Oh Ji-hoon had mixed feelings. Seeing his biological daughter call him uncle was bittersweet. Min Chai. Oh Ji-hoon approached. Uncle, I must be very sick, Min Chai said. Mom and Dad keep crying. Oh Ji-hoon took Min Chai's other hand. You'll get better soon, Oh Ji-hoon's voice trembled. Uncle will make sure you get well. Really? Yes, I promise. At that moment, Oh Ji-hoon made his decision. Whether his conditions were accepted or not, he would have the surgery first. But afterward, he wouldn't change his mind about enforcing his conditions. The doctor entered and said, "Have you decided on the donor? We can't delay any longer." Oh Ji-hoon stood up. "I'll do it, Ji-hoon." Do Hyuk looked at Oh Ji-hoon. But, Oh Ji-hoon looked at Do Hyuk and Seo Rin. Let's continue our conversation after the surgery. His voice carried firm resolve. Whether your daughter lives or dies depends on your choice, Oh. Ji-hoon said quietly to Seo Rin alone, then left with a cruel smile following the doctor. Seo Rin fell into despair. Without Oh Ji-hoon's proposal, there was no way to save Min Chai. But the price was too horrible. abandoning the family built over 13 years, betraying Do Hyuk, and starting over with Oh Ji-hoon. The most cruel part was that it might be the best choice for Min Chai. Do Hyuk looked at Min Chai and thought he was ready to do anything to save this child, even if it meant sacrificing his own happiness. But if he accepted Oh Ji-hoon's conditions, he would truly lose everything. His daughter, wife, and family. The operating room lights turned on. Now Min Chai's life was in Oh Ji-hoon's hands. And after surgery, the time for real choices would come. Min Chai sensed something was wrong. Her parents kept fighting outside her hospital room. And a strange man kept visiting. Mom, Dad, what's going on? Why is everyone keeping secrets? Min Chai's weak voice broke the silence. Her skin was yellow from jaundice, but her eyes remained sharp. She had been observing her parents' strange behavior for days. Do Hyuk couldn't speak, but Min Chai had overheard the word, biological father. So, I'm not Dad's daughter? The room froze instantly. Seo Rin's face went pale. Do Hyuk clenched his fists. The hidden truth had finally erupted. Seo Rin sobbed while Do Hyuk's face turned red with rage. That's it. Everything's ruined. Because of you, my life. You don't understand. A mother's heart when she loses her child. Seo Rin screamed, her voice shaking the entire room. The secret buried deep for 20 years had exploded in an instant. I raised the child you had from your affair for 20 years. And now you want to find her real father? Am I a fool? Do Hyuk's voice trembled, revealing how long he had known and endured this truth. Dad. Min Chai's weak voice momentarily stopped their heated argument. She slowly turned to look at Do Hyuk. Did you know from the beginning? Do Hyuk couldn't answer. His silence spoke volumes. He had known since Min Chai was born. But having already fallen in love with the child, and wanting to preserve his relationship with Seo Rin, he had pretended not to know. Then we've been living a lie all this time. Our family was fake too. Tears streamed down Min Chai's face, tears from a wound deeper than her illness. Min Chai's condition was rapidly deteriorating. Her jaundice worsened, consciousness faded in and out. Liver values exceeded normal by 10 times, ascites was worsening. Her eyes were completely yellow, fingertips growing cold. Doctor, how is our daughter? Seo Rin asked with a trembling voice. The attending physician looked grave. Honestly, there isn't much time left. If we don't find a suitable donor within 48 hours. The doctor couldn't finish, but everyone understood the unspoken meaning. But you said the donors we've found so far aren't suitable? Do Hyuk asked desperately. He had been tested multiple times but wasn't compatible. Blood type matched, but tissue compatibility was problematic. Among family members, biological parents have the highest probability of compatibility. However, before the doctor finished, the room door opened. Ji-hoon appeared with a cold voice. I'll donate my liver. But my conditions remain unchanged. He wore a neat suit, his face unreadable. He looked like he had come for a business transaction. Who are you to say such things? The doctor began in confusion, but Ji-hoon pulled out a document envelope. Genetic test results. I'm the patient's biological father and the most suitable donor for liver transplantation. The room froze again. Ji-hoon's appearance was the final blow. That completely shattered the already crumbling family balance. But there are conditions, Ji-hoon continued, looking at Min Chai. After surgery, Min Chai comes with me to America. I'll raise her. That's ridiculous. Do Hyuk jumped up shouting. You want to take the child I raised for 20 years? Who are you? I'm grateful you raised another man's child for 20 years. But now it's my turn to take responsibility. Ji-hoon's voice remained cold and calculated, as if this entire situation was just a business deal. Min Chai, what do you think? Seo Rin asked with a shaking voice. But Min Chai's consciousness was already fading. Hepatic encephalopathy from liver failure had begun. Dad. No, Uncle Do Hyuk. I want to live. That single sentence decided everything. Before life, everything else lost meaning. Medical staff rushed to prepare for surgery. Ji-hoon began tests as a donor. All numbers matched perfectly, as if by fate. Before surgery, let me confirm one last time. Do you really agree to the conditions? Ji-hoon asked, looking between Seo Rin and Do Hyuk. If you don't agree to taking her to America, there's no surgery. Seo Rin bowed her head. There was no choice. Saving her daughter's life came first. All right, her answer was barely audible. Do Hyuk leaned against the wall with clenched fists, about to lose the daughter he had considered his own for 20 years. But there's one more condition, Ji-hoon suddenly spoke. Seo Rin must come too. What? Do Hyuk jumped up. Min Chai needs her mother. And I also need. Anyway, that's my condition. Ji-hoon's true intention was revealed. He didn't just want his daughter, he wanted to reclaim the woman he had lost 20 years ago. Surgery lights turned on, Min Chai and Ji-hoon entered separate operating rooms. Only Seo Rin and Do Hyuk remained in the corridor. 20 years. Do Hyuk muttered. What was everything we built over 20 years? Seo Rin didn't answer. Her heart held a complex mix of guilt and relief, fear of the revealed secret alongside liberation from no longer having to lie. Surgery continued through the night. At 6 a.m., the operating room doors opened. Surgery was successful, but complete recovery will take several months. Everyone sighed with relief at the doctor's words. Looking at Min Chai in the recovery room, Ji-hoon said, "We leave for America in 2 weeks. Please prepare by then." Do Hyuk said nothing more. He slowly left the hospital without looking back. Alone in the corridor, Seo Rin remembered that summer day, 20 years ago, when everything began. And now, this moment when everything ended. A week later, Do Hyuk appeared with divorce papers. His face looked 20 years older. "I already signed. You signed too, and let's end this." Seo Rin signed with trembling hands. 20 years of marriage ended on a single piece of paper. "I hope Min Chai will be happy." Do Hyuk's final words. Then he truly disappeared. 2 weeks later at Incheon Airport, Ji-hoon waited for Seo Rin and Min Chai. His expression remained cold, but subtle satisfaction flickered in his eyes. "A new beginning," he whispered to Seo Rin. Seo Rin didn't respond, pushing Min Chai's wheelchair toward the departure gate. Looking back, she could see Korea's sky, the place where all her memories lived. As the plane took off, Seo Rin realized she wasn't certain why she had made this choice, or whether it was truly for her daughter. Min Chai looked out the window, thinking about who her real father was. And where Do Hyuk, the man she had called father, might be now. The plane flew over the Pacific, endless ocean, spreading below, uncertain and daunting like their future. But one thing was certain, their real trials were just beginning. 3 people stood before the operating room. Min Chai sat in her wheelchair, looking at her parents one last time. "Who is my real father? Tell me the truth now." Min Chai's voice trembled but remained resolute. Do Hyuk's lips quivered, unable to speak. Seo Rin nodded with tears streaming down her face. "Min Chai, I'm sorry. Your real father is that man." She pointed at Ji-hoon. Min Chai looked at Ji-hoon, but her eyes were filled with disappointment and fear. He stood with a cold expression, showing no warmth despite meeting his supposed daughter for the first time. "Then what about Dad? Are we nothing to each other?" Do Hyuk knelt down and held her hands. "No, I'm your father. Even if we don't share blood, I raised you. I'll protect you until I die. Dad." Tears flowed down Min Chai's face, tears of relief. The operating room doors opened and medical staff took Min Chai away. The surgery would take at least 8 hours. As the red light turned on, each person's sins and truths intersected as the story rushed toward a new catastrophe. After 1 hour, Ji-hoon was on the phone in the corridor. Yes, surgery is going well. Proceed as planned. Have the documents ready. His voice was cold, as if handling business rather than his daughter's life or death surgery. Do-hyuk watched suspiciously. Something was wrong. After 2 hours, Seo-rin continued crying. 20 years of guilt hit her at once. Do-hyuk sat beside her. I knew from the beginning. When Min-chai was born, I sensed something was off. But I already loved her, so I decided to consider her my daughter. After 3 hours, a nurse rushed out. Emergency. The patient has unexpected complications. We need blood transfusion immediately. But her blood type is extremely rare Duffy negative. Ji-hoon spoke coldly, that's not my concern. I can only provide the liver. Do-hyuk was furious. Are you really her father? Your daughter is dying and you speak like that? Medical staff contacted blood banks nationwide but found no suitable blood. Family members are most likely to have the same blood type. Everyone please get tested. Ji-hoon tested negative. Seo-rin tested negative. Finally, Do-hyuk was tested. Do-hyuk, your blood type matches. Everyone was shocked. The doctor explained that Duffy negative could result from rare mutations, not just genetics. Perhaps Min-chai's paternity was wrongly identified? We should redo the DNA test. Ji-hoon's face went pale. Do-hyuk's blood donation began. His phone rang the private investigator. Do-hyuk, about Ji-hoon's investigation. He's involved in a massive lawsuit in America. He needs a Korean national daughter for inheritance issues. His father left enormous wealth in Korea, but the will states it can only go to Korean national direct descendants. The puzzle pieces fit together. Ji-hoon's real motive was money, not paternity. Do-hyuk confronted Ji-hoon outside. I know your real purpose. The inheritance issue, right? You needed a Korean daughter. Ji-hoon briefly panicked but then sneered. So what? Without my liver, the child dies. Then how do you explain the DNA results? You fabricated them, didn't you? Ji-hoon's silence said everything. Police arrived. Do-hyuk had reported him. Emergency arrest warrant for DNA test result. Falsification and bribing medical staff. Evidence included forged documents and recorded calls with the bribed testing agency. Was your liver donation also fake? Seo-rin screamed. No, that was real. But conditional. I planned to take Min-chai for the inheritance. The truth was revealed. Ji-hoon was never Min-chai's biological father. Everything was an elaborate fraud. The operating room doors opened. Surgery successful. Patient is stable. Seo-rin and Do-hyuk embraced and cried. Thanks to Do-hyuk's quick blood donation, we overcame the crisis. But test results revealed something interesting. Do-hyuk, you're likely Min-chai's biological father. DNA test shows 99.9% match. Ji-hoon's results were completely fabricated. The world turned upside down. When Min-chai woke up, her first words were, Dad. Who is my real father? Do-hyuk held her hand and smiled. Me. I'm your real father. Really? You're not lying? Science proved it. You're my daughter. From beginning to end. Tears filled Min-chai's eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. Then why did Mom lie? Seo-rin bowed her head. Mom made a mistake. 20 years ago, I briefly met someone else. And thought you were conceived then. The timing overlapped. But it worked out well. We're a real family. Everyone laughed at Min-chai's innocent words. 1 month later, Min-chai had completely recovered. Her new liver had settled perfectly, and color returned to her face. Ji-hoon was prosecuted for fraud and document falsification. His inheritance scam was fully exposed. Dad, why did that man do such things? Because of money. He couldn't value people more than money. Then we're fortunate. We treasure each other most. Do Hyuk stroked his daughter's head. Yes. We're a real family. By blood and by love. Seo Rin sat beside them. I'm sorry to both of you. For doubting and lying. It's okay now, Mom. Everything's been revealed. Min Chai held her parents' hands. Let's really start fresh. Without lies, without secrets. That evening, the three ate together for the first time in a long while. Min Chai enjoyed her favorite braised ribs, while her parents watched contentedly. Dad, I'm curious about something. Did I inherit that rare blood type from you? Yes. According to the doctor, it's our family genetics. Then I can help someone who needs it later. Do Hyuk nodded. Yes. You can share the love you received with others. Good. I want to save someone like Dad did. At that moment, Do Hyuk realized the true meaning of family. Blood may be thicker than water, but sometimes love can be thicker than blood. And ultimately, they were a real family both by blood and by love. The cries before the operating room had become the prelude to a new beginning. In the confusion where lies and truth intertwined, they discovered what real love meant. Min Chai's heart now beat healthily, filled with love for her real family. The operating room light had not dimmed. Desperate prayers to save a daughter and endless fractures created by hidden truths were entangled behind those doors. Blood can betray, and love sometimes reveals its most cruel face. But paradoxically, love also approaches us. In the name of the most brilliant sacrifice. True love meant sacrifice. Do Hyuk's unconditional love shone over 20 years. And sharing his own blood for his daughter, that was true paternal love. The choices of those left behind. Time that cannot stop. When those doors opened, this family's fate could never return to what it was before. Correct. They could never return to the past. But they went somewhere better. They became a perfect family. With truthful love without lies, plus blood relationship proven by science. The cries before the operating room had now turned into shouts of joy. And their new story began.